The most influential sound in any room is the one that is never made. Psychology explains why the people who speak less often carry the most presence in any room. In a world that constantly rewards noise, speed, and instant reactions, silence has become rare. And because it is rare, it has become powerful. Most people believe influence comes from speaking more, explaining faster, and dominating conversations. But the truth operates on a different level. Every time you rush to speak, you reveal your thoughts before they are fully formed. Every time you fill a silence too quickly, you give away your clarity for the sake of comfort. Silence, when used intentionally, is not emptiness. It is control over your own impulses. This is the principle of strategic silence, not as a way to overpower others, but as a way to strengthen your awareness. It is the discipline of holding your ground internally, while the world around you feels the need to react. The human mind does not like gaps. When a conversation falls quiet, most people experience a subtle discomfort. Their thoughts begin to race. They wonder if something is wrong, if they said too much, or if they should say more. And in that moment, they often begin to over-explain, repeat themselves, or reveal things they never planned to share. Not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack stillness. When you develop the ability to remain composed in that silence, something shifts. You are no longer caught in the rhythm of reaction. You step outside of it. You begin to observe instead of participate blindly. As highlighted by Robert Greene, saying less than necessary often creates greater impact. Words gain weight when they are not used excessively, and silence becomes a space where understanding deepens. When you allow silence to exist, you give the conversation room to breathe. Others begin to think more carefully. They slow down, they reflect, not because they are being forced to, but because the absence of noise naturally invites awareness. You are no longer trying to keep the conversation alive. You are allowing it to become meaningful. There is also a deeper layer to this: the intentional pause. A moment where you choose not to respond immediately, not out of hesitation, but out of control. Even a few seconds of stillness before speaking can completely change how your words are received. It signals that you are not reacting. You are choosing, and that distinction matters. In fast-paced conversations, most people operate on impulse. They interrupt, they defend, they explain. But when you pause, even briefly, you break that pattern. You create space between stimulus and response, and in that space, clarity forms. This is where presence begins to take shape. In leadership, in negotiations, and in everyday interactions, those who speak with intention are often the ones who are heard the most. Not because they speak frequently, but because when they do, their words carry direction. As Niccolò Machiavelli observed, a sense of unpredictability can strengthen perception. When every reaction is immediate and obvious, it becomes easy to anticipate. But when responses are measured, thoughtful, and sometimes delayed, they carry a depth that cannot be easily read. And that depth is often interpreted as strength. Silence, in this sense, becomes a form of awareness. It allows you to listen beyond words, to notice tone, hesitation, and intent, to understand not just what is being said, but why it is being said. You begin to see patterns. You begin to notice details others miss. You begin to understand conversations on a different level. And as this awareness builds, something else happens. You stop feeling the need to justify yourself constantly. You stop rushing to prove your point. You become comfortable with your own thoughts, even when they are unspoken. This is where confidence becomes visible without needing to be announced. People start to respond to you differently. They listen more closely. They interrupt less. Conversations feel more grounded in your presence, not because you demanded attention, but because your restraint naturally creates it. You are no longer chasing the moment, you are shaping it. And this is where many people misunderstand silence. It is not about saying nothing. It is about knowing when to say something and when to let the moment exist without interference. Because when everything is said, very little is remembered. But when words are chosen carefully, they stay. Think about the people around you, the ones who talk constantly, who fill every second with sound. Do they feel grounded? Or do they feel like they are trying to hold attention? Now think about those who speak less, but with clarity. Their presence feels different. Their words land differently. Not because they are louder, but because they are deliberate. That is the difference between reacting and choosing. True self-control is not shown in how much you can say. It is shown in how much you can hold back. It is the ability to sit in a moment without feeling the need to escape it with words. It is being steady when others are rushing. It is being clear when others are scattered. It is being present when others are distracted. And in a world that constantly pushes you to speak, to respond, to explain, choosing silence, even for a moment, becomes a powerful act of discipline. This is not about withdrawing from conversations or becoming distant. It is about refining your presence. It is about making your words intentional, your pauses meaningful, and your attention focused. Because attention, not volume, is what creates impact. When you stop speaking unnecessarily, you start noticing more. When you stop reacting instantly, you start understanding more. And when you become comfortable with silence, you begin to carry a presence that does not depend on constant expression. You don't need to compete to be heard. You don't need to fill every gap. You don't need to prove your value through constant explanation. Your presence does that for you. So the next time you find yourself in a conversation, pay attention to the silence. Notice how quickly others try to escape it. Notice how the moment changes when no one speaks. And instead of rushing to fill it, stay. Let the silence do what it naturally does: create space, reveal thought, and bring clarity. Because in the end, influence is not built on how much you say. It is built on how well you understand when not to. Stay composed, stay aware, and let your presence carry weight, even in silence. Because the most influential sound in any room is still the one that is never made. Subscribe for more psychology insights like this. Like and share if you want more deep breakdowns on human behavior, presence, and influence.